No, man. The only other thing I wanted to say, overtraining. Just blending that last part into overtraining. I mean, it's the number one problem right now in today's runner. I'll give you a few visual cues here. I prepared for this. There's too much of this.
Oh, sweet.
There's too much of that. There's too much of this. And there's too much of this. And there's too little of using this. And that is the problem with today's runner. We are in love, like a serious physical romance with our watch. There is no reason we should be stressing about looking at our watch on an easy day. We need to stay slow. We know that. Everyone knows that now. But, you don't have to look at it every quarter of a mile on an easy day. Because if you start doing that, you're going to look at it all the time. And then the watch becomes your enemy. We have a sports psychologist on staff, Adrienne Langelet. You guys probably know who she is. She works with us at Believe in the Run. And she's awesome. I coach her personally too. And so, we did a whole Zoom session with our athletes. We usually do monthly Zooms, which actually be a good thing to invite you guys on the next time we do them. The whole thing was entitled "Take the Emotion Out of Your Watch." And it was a massive success. It was great. People started to realize, oh my gosh, like I'm using this thing way, way, way too much. And when we use this too much, we start to overtrain and then we don't understand feel. So we start to get obsessed with pace versus effort level and things like that. You send an athlete out to do 5 miles at threshold and they're staring at the watch the whole time versus actually sending them out for 5 miles, stare at the watch a few times and just think in your head 85 to 88% effort. Well, you know what? It's going to go a lot better when you're mentally just thinking effort, the actual put out of effort versus staring at this thing so much. So cross training is a massive problem right now. We have exercise addiction. It's I'll say it and people can call it out, but it's out there. You have the athlete who in a 7-day week, they're supposed to have a Sunday and a Friday off. Maybe they run 5 days a week. They've done all their runs, their workouts. And then on those off days, they're hammering a HIIT class, an Orange Theory. They're doing 2 spin bike rides on Peloton. And while that stuff is okay, minus the HIIT and the Orange Theory, it just really doesn't help your marathon, but the spin a little bit. You look at the 7-day week and you realize there's not an ounce of rest going on during that week. And I think we all know rest equals growth, right? And so at the end of the day, that concept of I need to always be doing something leads to up here to the fact that you don't know how to rest. You don't know how to take any time off. I think the comparison game is massive right now, especially via social media with overtraining. My friend was doing this and she ran really well, so I'm going to do this. And then 6 weeks later, that friend who copied the other friend now has an IT band syndrome or a stress fracture or something like that because they spiked their volume 40 or 50%, more than they can handle. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to overtraining. The number one thing, I said this kind of earlier, when a new athlete comes in for coaching, I'm actually not adding mileage in workouts. I'm taking away things from them. The old adage of the Tuesday workout, the Thursday workout, and hammer the hell out of your long run will come back to bite you and it will get you hurt. Even our fastest runners here, 1-2 workouts a week, maybe.
Yeah. That's all.
Other people need more, but it's the way it is.
I'm going to go make my Strava private so you can't see what I'm doing.
I'm so glad when you chose to share all that stuff too, because that's huge to hear for myself. And, even I feel like I'm not super addicted to the watch, but I know it's there. And I pay attention to it. And even if I'm not looking at it during the run, I'm definitely looking at it after. Yep. I'm like, oh, that wasn't what I want. It could have looked better. Like those little things can creep in and really cause problems. And a lot of the injured runners that I end up seeing in my clinic are the ones who are addicted to exercise and have a routine of they might come to PT working on something specific. They leave, they do a HIIT class, then they do their 4-mile run, and then they lead a spin class. Yep. And then they do the same thing the next day, and they have no days off. And they're wondering why they have a bunch of injuries. And it's a big deal to pay attention to that and check ourselves as athletes and where we're at with all those things. So
And as
thank
coaches,
you for bringing
too,
that up.
as coaches, remember, coaches can overtrain too, not just runners. Coaches can overtrain. I mean, look at the success of some of the athletes. If their athletes are always broken, well, it's probably a sign. I mean, I think that's probably the worst thing that any of us wants to ever,
Right.
if somebody says, oh, hey, how about that Dave Ames as a running coach? Well, oh, he injures everybody. Well, there goes my career.
Yeah.
So we got to keep you healthy and on the road. Otherwise we can't be successful.
Yeah.
For those individuals,
You
by the
said-
way, and I want to jump on that I have several patients like that again, where they'll do their run, they'll do their spin or insane, and they're not triathletes, right? If this is a different conversation if they're a triathlete and they're going, hey, do my run, my bike, my swim, like, I get it. But for those people who are doing it just because they're trying to hammer and catch up, your tissue doesn't care whether it was a spin class or a run. You're still overloading it. It's still like, it doesn't matter. You don't get a magic like get out of jail free or like get an injury free card because you said, well, it wasn't running. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your endocrine system, your muscles, like, it's just, yeah.
I've never done this, and I don't ever choose to do this, but imagine going and running like a hard 18 and then going to a HIIT class. I mean, you'd have to mop me off of the floor. Like, it just wouldn't work.
The other one that I hear a lot, and I know that somebody's going to know I'm calling him out. If you go for a 13-mile run and then you do an 8-mile hike on top of that, that's not 13 miles.
Yeah.